What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about how you can deal with a bad coach as a player. Let's get started. Now, before we get into this video, fellas, if you would like to get faster, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to 80 plus speed and agility drills that are designed to help you with your 40-yard dash, your overall explosiveness, your running mechanics, everything. We give you the exact sets and reps to do for each drill, and we put the drills in a different workout plan so it's easy for you guys to follow and easy for you to get better. So if you guys are interested in that, again, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get back to this video. All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about a few different types of coaches. We're going to be talking about coaches that don't know necessarily what they're talking about. We're going to talk about coaches who are very demeaning, not the most positive types of coaches, how you guys can deal with that on a mental side of things. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about coaches who like to play favorites and maybe you feel you're not getting a chance from that coach and how to go about dealing with each one of these situations in a correct way. So the first one is going to be a coach that doesn't necessarily know too much about what he's talking about. So this is very, very common, especially at the youth level, the high school level, sometimes even the college level when it comes to skill position work. So for me personally, what I wish, like a lot of coaches, like high school coaches, don't personally like what I do, right? I'm a trainer down here in Southern California. Obviously we do camps, we do a whole lot of stuff online. That's not the only thing that we do, but we do train a lot of different athletes in this area. And high school coaches do not like trainers who are strictly just trainers that don't coach at a high school, because they feel what we do as trainers is we tell their guys to do stuff completely different from what the school is trying to work on, what the program is trying to work on. And I completely get that. I coached high school football. I coached at a high school called Los Alamitos High School. And nothing's worse than when you're trying to coach up a kid and he comes back at you with, hey, coach, well, my trainer says to do it this way. My trainer says. So what I wish is that trainers would train, coaches would coach, and focus on scheme. Now, that's one thing. Now, there's some kids that need to be coached up in a high school environment, youth environment, and I get that. And you guys have to understand that these coaches at this level, they're strictly volunteers. Even if you're coaching at a high school, you're a volunteer. You're not getting paid anything. When you break down the amount of time that goes into it, you're making $5, $6 an hour, especially if you're at a public school. The only guys that get paid are the head coaches at the big private schools. Honestly, everybody else is really not making that much money, especially if they're not a teacher. So you got to understand that they're out there for you. They want you to get better, but sometimes you understand that, okay, that's wrong. I learned a certain way, and this coach is telling me to change my form. He's telling me to change how I run my routes. And I know that's wrong because I've worked with a trainer who showed me the right way. I've had results with it. I've seen professionals do the same thing. Well, how do you go about that type of situation? Honestly, you just have to have it go in one ear and out the other ear. You never want to be that guy that's very standoffish to your coach, because that's the easiest way to turn him off and to not give you a chance. So you don't want to be that guy. My favorite one is with quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, so, the days of holding the football up here by the ear, and everybody says, oh, Peyton Manning held it up by his ear. Peyton Manning didn't hold the ball up by his ear. He held it high, but he didn't hold it up by his ear. So every single freaking quarterback coach is like, oh, you got to hold the ball up high, spread open, and throw. And it is proven time and time again with all 32 NFL starters that is not how you throw a football correctly. But coaches still teach it because that's the way they were taught, and they feel like they need to say something. A lot of times it's ego. They have a really big ego, so they feel, oh, you have to do it my way or else it's completely wrong. And as quarterbacks, we're that's not how I'm supposed to throw the ball. I was taught a totally different way. I've seen results of the different way. I used to have that bad habit. So how do you go about that? Just say, yes, sir, I'll work on it. And then just go back to doing what you do. Now, I know that seems very kind of standoffish, you're a renegade. I'm just going to go do my own thing. But honestly, guys, at the end of the day, coaches for a high school or coaches for a program, they just want results. If you win the games, they look great. So if you can get the job done and you win and you have performance on the field, that will shut up any coach that has any problem with what you are doing mechanically. You just have to perform. If you're not performing, then there's going to be this constant push-pull. So how you deal with that type of coach who doesn't necessarily know what he's talking about, you have to go, yes, sir, I'll work on it. Go back to doing what you're doing. Because number one, let's say you didn't start practicing with your school or your team till August. That's not enough time to change up what you've been doing. So if you're a quarterback and you have a flawed, or you have a motion that they're trying to change, it's not enough time. It is literally not enough time. It takes thousands of reps to correct something like that. So a coach to tell you to change that, number one, is completely delusional. Number two, doesn't know what he's talking about. So just, yes, sir, I'll work on it, then go back to doing what you're doing. This time of year, in the season, August, in the pads, whatever it is, you're focused on winning games and executing plays. I wish coaches would just stay in their lane and teach the scheme, because there's no way, you could change little things, but you're not going to change massive things like a quarterback's motion or the way the receiver runs a certain route. So to say, yes, sir, I'll work on it, go back to doing what you're doing and focus on what you need to do. All right, guys, so the second type of coach we were going to be talking about is a coach who is maybe not the most positive coach. He's very negative, kind of demeaning, gets on you a little bit, likes to yell. And a lot of players, especially nowadays, do not respond very well to that type of coaching. Now, listen, there's like a balance of it, right? Like if a coach is lighting you up, and you deserve it, you probably deserve it. It is very, very tough. Like I said at the beginning of this video, these coaches are volunteers, guys. They're not getting paid millions of dollars. They're not even getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars like you get paid in college, like you get paid in the NFL. They're making maybe I'll tell you what, I have no problem telling you what I made as a high school assistant coach. You made $5,000, a little bit even less than that for the entire year. So that's 10 weeks, literally 10 weeks of a season, only making $5,000 for the entire time. And guess how many days we were there? 7 days a week. Guess how many hours we put in every single day? 8 hours a day at a minimum. That's Saturdays and Sundays too, because we're watching film. We're trying to get practice plans ready for you guys. And a lot of coaches do it to move up. They know they have to go through that type of stuff. That wasn't for me. I couldn't stand it. And it wasn't even just a money thing. It was just the egos that were involved with different coaches because of exactly what I'm talking about. They're very unhappy people. They get very upset very, very easily. A lot of them. You get a lot of good coaches out there, but you get some guys, as you all well know, that, not being compensated, very frustrated. They've been in the game too long. And how do you deal with that type of guy who's just constantly on your ass 24/7? Honestly, you just have to have a short-term memory. You got to understand that they're getting on you because they care about it and they want it done a certain way, and they're trying to hold you accountable for it. Now, some guys are completely out of line and, take it a little bit too far, and I've dealt with coaches like that. The advice I can give to you is you need to find a coach that will actually talk to you, that can serve as a buffer, right? So I was very lucky as a senior in high school. I had a coach who was on me 24/7, and he wasn't that bad. I kind of needed it in some respects, but it was honestly, they taking shots at you personally, trying to get you pissed off, just to see how you'd respond, right? And I hate that. I never responded well to that, and I never tried to be a coach like that. But my quarterback coach was the type of guy that he was a younger guy I could talk to about things. He would explain it to me instead of just yelling at me. So I recommend finding a coach, maybe finding a player that could explain things to you a little bit easier than a coach who likes to yell. So you have a good buffer. You have kind of that yin and yang between the two, and it'll be easier for you to execute and actually learn, because it's very, very tough to learn when you got a guy on your ass like that. But now, and a lot of people say, well, stop being soft. And there's a balance of that, right? If you screw up and a coach lights you up, don't be soft. Don't be like, oh, he hates me. Oh, I'm going to quit. Don't be that guy. But if he's constantly on you and you know that it's hey, listen, man, that ain't warranted. He didn't need to say that, that type of stuff, just in one ear, out the other ear. I recommend finding a younger coach, maybe a coach who you like that can be a buffer. You could talk things out with, and you could actually learn to make sure that you don't make the same mistake again. You're still getting better, and you don't get down on yourself because the coach is coming down on you. All right, so the next coach I want to talk about is going to be a coach that likes to play favorites, quote unquote. So there is favoritism in every single program, right? I'm sure some of you guys probably watched that University of Florida thing, and Urban Meyer was talking about how I'm going to treat my superstars like superstars, and I'm going to treat my crappy players like my crappy players, right? And that's honestly every single program across the United States has that. There's favoritism in every single program. Like I told you before, I coached high school football. 100% favoritism. There were guys that we liked and there were guys that we didn't like. And I don't even know why we didn't like some players. We just didn't like certain players. Don't know why. Have no idea how to explain it. But the head guy, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they had their guys, and then they had their guys that they did not like. And the guys that they did not like, the reason why they didn't like them is because they felt like they were not responsible. They felt like they couldn't trust them with certain tasks, certain things on the field. And that's why they would never play them. So if you feel like you're in a situation where there's a lot of favoritism going on, I work harder than the starter, I know I'm better than the starter, but I'm still not getting any play time. I'm not getting any looks. You got to look yourself in the mirror and think, do I understand my assignments? Do I know what I need to do on the field to execute? Now, let's say you do. You got to get on the field no matter what it takes. I don't care where you're playing, with the exception of maybe quarterback and other certain positions. You know which positions I'm talking about. Let's say you're a receiver. What's stopping you from playing special teams? What's stopping you from playing defense? Get on the field so coaches can trust you with more, and then maybe they'll give you a shot with your actual position. That's how you kind of combat that favoritism thing. You have to keep working hard. You have to stay consistent. You can't quit, and try to get on the field and know your plays the best you can. That's how you can get on coach's good side, and that's how he will get more play time. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like 75 plus speed and agility drills that you could do, all made into exact workout plans with sets and reps to follow, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.